let's talk recruiting update, and then we will get into predictions. Very busy week for the Texas Longhorns. They just lost a big-time commitment in Cade Phillips, the defensive back from a high school out of Texas. It stinks, guys, because that is the one position group. Currently, we have one guy in the secondary room, and that is Caleb Chester. I really like him. He's a 3-star recruit, but we're not killing it there. Blake Gideon and Terry Joseph need to step it up on the recruiting trail, and it's going to be a busy week for him because there's 2 guys, and we'll start out there, I guess. Jonah Williams, 5-star recruit. August 24th is his decision date, and so in 5 days, I will be here live, or we will have a video up on that if he does decide to come to the University of Texas. A couple months ago, people did not think this was possible. People thought he was either going to go to A&M or LSU, and he wasn't really interested in Texas. And it's because he's a great baseball player, and he didn't really get along with David Pierce. Well, things changed big time a couple months ago when Texas hired Jim Schlossnagle from A&M, fired David Pierce. He brings that relationship over to Texas with him, and they connected. He has good rapport with Steve Sarkisian and the staff. So Texas is firmly in the mix here. I think it's going to be either LSU or Texas. A&M and Oregon are lingering, but all of his family are high-level athletes, and none of them have left the state of Texas to play college football or college baseball. So I fully expect Jonah Williams to either pick between Texas A&M, but who knows? He could be a trailblazer. I'm surprised he's even deciding to play college football because he's such a damn good pitcher, guys. He's throwing 95 off the mound, and he's a left-hander, and he's going to get drafted. So it's a surprising pick to me that he's already choosing college football over he's choosing college football over professional baseball. So who knows what he decides August 24th? It's a coin flip. It's a coin flip. I'm not going to go either way here, guys. I don't know. I put it at a coin flip for right now. The other guy that is very important as well is cornerback 3-star Aiden Anning out of Ruston, Louisiana. LSU came in late on him, and now they have 4 guys committed in the secondary class, along with Cade Phillips, who they just flipped from Texas. I want this guy. I think this guy has a lot of high upside. That's kind of like what our whole class is, honestly, right now, is guys with a tremendous amount of upside. And if this class, or if all our guys on staff can make these guys better like I think they can, we're going to have a hell of a recruiting class. This guy's a multiple sport athlete. He's a great basketball player. So I think LSU, for whatever reason, got in late on this game, and I think they're dumb for doing so. But guess what, guys? They still may win out on the end in getting him, so it may not have hurt him at all anyways. He's down to Arkansas, he's down to Texas, and he's down to LSU. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to think here. I don't know because he did take the visit to LSU when he didn't have to, and they got him on campus. And if they land him, guys, we're talking about a fantastic secondary class for them. DJ Pickett, they just flipped Cade Phillips from us. They could steal Aiden Anning from us. I honestly think Texas is I think there's 33% on all 3 of these. That's where I'm going here. I have no idea. I think it's 33% on each. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes anywhere of the 3 of LSU, Texas, and Arkansas, but I'm hoping Texas can land him. That is also August 24th. The one that is coming up the soonest, and unfortunately, I do not think Texas wins this one, and it's very unfortunate because this is a definite position of need, is 5-star offensive tackle Michael Fasusi. I think he ends up at Oklahoma. And this stinks, guys. To me, this was after DeCorian Moore, he was number 2 in the class. And once DeCorian Moore went to Oregon, he was the number 1 priority for me, and I just don't think we're going to end up with him. And it kind of stinks because Steve Sarkisian, up until this year, guys, has been killing it in guys he needs. He went out and got an Anthony Hill when they needed him. He went out and got an Arch Manning when they needed him. He went out and got a Kelvin Banks when they needed him. Michael Fasusi's probably not going to end up at Texas. He's probably going to end up at Oklahoma. It's going to be Oklahoma, A&M, or Texas. I think it's more Oklahoma at this point. I think if I had to do percentage-wise, I'm saying 70% Oklahoma, 20% Texas, 10% Texas A&M. Outside shots for Missouri and Oregon, I don't see that happening. He gave a couple visits to Florida because his lead recruiter at A&M went to Florida. I think those were like, hey, I'll throw you a bone type visits. I don't see him going to Florida. I think he ends up at Oklahoma, and that's very unfortunate because you're missing out on him, but you're also missing out on him and a rival. But again, August 21st, I will be here if he comes to Texas. Next up, August 23rd. This is a guy that I do think is trending towards Texas. In my opinion, he's probably first or second on this list of the 5 guys that 3 or 4 I've named already. of guys where I expect him, out of all the guys I've listed so far, I expect him as the most likely to Texas. It is the big 4-star offensive tackle, Nick Brooks, out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He was moving to Georgia, though. That's not a big deal. He lived there originally. He's from there. It's going to come down to Texas over in Georgia, but I think Texas is prioritizing him right now over more than Georgia is. So I think Texas probably leads here 60. I would go 60% Texas, 30% Georgia, 10% USC. Georgia's obviously got a couple days here to come up and tell him, hey, we really want you, man. Why don't you play here? Why don't you stay in your home state, basically, of Georgia? This guy is huge. He's 6'7", 360 to 380 pounds. Now you're asking yourself, is that too big to play offensive tackle? It may be, but it's not too big to play offensive line. I think even if he's not an offensive tackle, he can get an offensive guard. I think he'd be great at that. And this is the type of guy Kyle Flood wants. He says it all the time. I want big humans that I can mold. This is a big human you can mold. Fantastic get if they can get him. I do think he's the most likely out of the ones I've named so far. This guy, I think he's right in the same ballpark with Nick Brooks, and that is 5-star wide receiver Jamie French. I told people whenever I heard Miami was in this recruitment, I said, watch out for Miami. Watch out for Miami. We know how Miami spends in NIL. We know what Jamie French's priority is because Jamie French has said relationships and money. He's flat out said that. He said his dream NIL deal was a Lambo. Well, Texas has that, but I'm pretty sure Miami can get him that as well. And Miami throws bags, guys. So it would not shock me if he does end up in Miami. He went on a visit there a couple weeks ago. He loved it. They made up some ground. I still think Texas leads. I think it's 50% Texas, 40% Miami. And I'll give Tennessee a 10% chance just because I'm a nice guy. But I think this is Texas and Miami. I think Texas has to hold off Miami, and Miami's got 11 days. So it's going to be very interesting here. Again, busy couple weeks, next 2 weeks for Texas, 5 guys on the hook. I will be here for all of them when they do break, if they do break for Texas's way. In a perfect scenario here, guys, Texas lands 4 out of 5 of these guys. In all likelihood, I think they land 2. I think they land Nick Brooks, and then I think they either land Aiden Anning or Jamie French. I think Jonah Williams is a possibility too. Honestly, guys, I changed my mind. I think they can land 3. I think they can land Nick Brooks, Jonah Williams, then either Aiden Anning or Jamie French. If they land 4 out of 5, this is a great month for Texas. We have catapulted ourselves in probably, I don't know, top 8, top 9 class right at the moment. So that's a good job and good recovery by the Texas staff going into the season. I think, like I said, the recruiting cycle this year is going to be crazy. I think you're going to see the most flips you've ever seen because of NIL mostly, but also because these guys are leveraging their situations right now, which I guess still has to do with NIL, but it's going to be very interesting, guys. That is the recruiting update.
College football is even more exciting with some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.